Hi, this is Julian for Production Expert. I've got a copy of the new Harrison AVA Vocal Flow Plug-in, which is a plug-in for, well, it's a one-stop shop for vocals. I've got it on this track here, which is a worst-case example for some particular vocal artifacts. So what have we got in here? Well, we've got the Harrison 32C EQ, which I kind of expect it to be the star of the show. It's a proportional cue design, which is a really good thing because it means that for subtle moves, it's great, and for more surgical corrective stuff, it's also very accurate. But you can control the whole thing just from two knobs. You don't need a cue control. In this case, I'm just using it for. I'm going to solo this up actually, and I'm just using it to dial in some top end. Tell me, did it feel right? And it's really, really sweet. A little bit of mid has been pulled out as well. And there you can hear the effect of that kind of in that mid-range. If I just pull a little bit out here and dip it around, that's really, really nice, intuitive EQ that really let me know what's going on. But nothing huge going on there. Actually, the 32C channel, the static EQ, wasn't the star of the show for me. It's very good, but some other stuff grabbed my attention more. The real star of the show for me is the De-Esser. This is genius. In fact, I'd say that this plugin is worth it just for the De-Esser. This track has got some issues in the S's. Listen to this. Now it's over, but she's feeling okay. Now that's just bad mic choice. But yeah, this singer has a really pronounced, she's got a normal S and she's also got this really high whistle. That's right up around 10K. And what we've got here is we've got this lovely split display, split band RTA display kind of setup. What's happening here is that you've got two levels that you can set it to. And we've got a really useful RTA, which really shows you what's going on. It means you can track it down ever so quickly. Let's pull these up and see what's going on. There it is, straight away. What we've got is we've got this bar display, which is very useful indeed for tracking down where the energy lies. I love that. There is also a scroll display, which is useful because it gives you that history, but actually I'm going with the bar display. That's all I need, and I've not seen one this big and this clear that gives you this much control before. This is worth the price of entry on its own. In fact, it's as good as any De-Esser I've used. So what I can do here is we've got a threshold here, and then we've got a depth control. So I could go really low threshold and lower depth so that it's de-essing a lot of the time, but not by that much. Or I can go with a higher threshold and a much deeper depth so that when it does trigger, it goes down as far as it feels it needs to. It's really, really flexible. I'm going to go all the way down on this to catch that high energy stuff. This is a really bad example. And there we go. That's pulling right in. And of course, I can pull out the standard S a little more, but not as much. So for the same threshold, I can deal with both. I've got an attack control as well. And there's also a lovely auto solo feature here where you can dig around and find what you're looking for to make sure you've got what you need. So that's the De-Esser. Fantastic. The next thing that's interesting in here is this vocal character section. This is it's a harmonic tracking equalizer. Well, that's an unusual thing. It's got two bands, just two bands, and they are they're B and C, body and clarity. In this case, what I've done is pulled up the body. And what we're seeing here is this is the energy around each of the harmonics. So this is only appropriate for use on pitched sounds for singing. Don't use it on a voiceover. But yeah, here we go. I can bring up the level of the fundamental. I could pull it over here and bring up the level of the second harmonic if I wanted to. Or down. Bit of thickness. And there, a little bit more kind of chest, which is kind of interesting. Clarity, I'm going to leave that alone in this case, actually, but that works higher up. Really, really interesting idea, and showing the level of energy on this bottom trace is an interesting take on this concept. Okay, so we have a leveler. This is a low ratio compressor with a fast release and an adjustable attack. It's kind of useful. You can draw the attack out to let syllables through that sort of leading consonant to increase clarity, or grab stuff. Nothing much to worry about there. It just does exactly what you want it to. We've also got some time-based effects. Now, here, I'm going to go straight to the chorus because this is another star of the show for me. I really think this is clever. What it does is it detunes two voices, and it detunes by the amount you set here. Here, I've got it sort of under 2 cents. We'll wind it right up, actually, and we'll just have a listen to what this is doing. Okay, a little bit roboty, but if we wind that up. But thankfully, it's got very carefully chosen ranges so that the useful stuff's in the first half of the travel. Again, with a delay, we've got a delay. It goes all the way up to kind of proper slap kind of levels. But the default of 40 is well chosen, somewhere around there with a little bit of detune is useful. Now, it's still very, very over the top there, but what I really like about this is that the mix control, up to 12 o'clock, it's still only to 10%, and then you've got the other 90% over there, which is really, really nice because you've got resolution where you need it.
What were you thinking when you changed your mind on that fateful night? Tell me, did it feel right?
That's working for me. The time-based effects are slightly different. This is where I might have a look down here. What we've got is we've got audition points all the way along the bottom. So you click on any of these ears and you can audition at that point in the signal flow. Nice system. Also, you can see the bypass status of these. So, for example, you can see that the delay and the reverb are off, and the De-Esser level and whatever. That's in quite a weird place, actually. I think I'd probably want that over here. So I'll move it because I don't want my S's going to my reverb. That'd be peculiar. And also, I don't know why the level is over there either. We'll move that. But I can listen at any of these points just by clicking. And we can solo there. The only one that you can't move is the vocal character. Also, we see these arrows here, which show that the delay and the reverb are in parallel and they're on ascend. So the delay's set up to be a slap delay. It's not the most flexible, but it's not really supposed to be. And there we are. We've got some filters on there and a feedback control, which I'm leaving at 0 because it's slap. Delay time's up to 250 milliseconds. So, okay, fair enough. The filters don't appear to be in the feedback loop. They're pre-feedback. So if you set the low-pass filter there, each successive repeat doesn't get darker. And the reverb, very, very simple. Room size, which is effectively decay, and it's probably got some kind of spacing in the reflections as well. Some filters, some damping. This is damping on the tail. And a pair of filters in the levels. So there we are. That's the whole lot. So if we get back to where we started, got too much reverb on there, which I'll sort of come back to. It's a really lovely thing. My thoughts on this, I really like the way it's been set up with that gain structure in mind, because there are gain trims and boosts at every stage, which is very sensible, and you can set things up so you can do fair comparisons. I expected to like the EQ the most because it's the thing I was probably most aware of, but the De-Esser is the star of the show for me, and I also really like that chorus. But the one comment I would make about the time-based effects is that I would like it if the scaling on these was slightly different, because to get an appropriate amount of what I need, I'm right down on the bottom. And I will never, ever need to go right up here. So it's kind of wasting the space on that particular slider there, I think, to some degree. And I'd probably change the scale on there and get it more like the mix control up here, which I think is absolutely spot on. The thing to keep in mind about this, of course, is that you're getting all of these plugins effectively, because the different modules stand up on their own as plugins, and it's not an expensive thing. So while I don't think the reverb's necessarily the strongest reverb out there, you could buy this plugin at the introductory price 3 times over for the cost of a premium reverb plugin. So, it's you've got to be fair about these things. All in all, it's a great thing. I like the way they set it up, and that De-Esser, absolutely.